Joining us here for our extra edition of Tasting Notes. If you want to see the full version, just check out our YouTube and Facebook page if you're watching here on the Bar Conversations. But if not, enjoy a great full conversation, because we have an interesting thing that I think works very well for what a lot of people do in January, and that's kind of cut back on their alcohol consumption, or maybe they lighten it up, so to speak. And we're talking with James Cosma and Michael Barkin, co-founders of Sommarøy Spirits.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having us. Appreciate the time.
And did I actually say it right? Because I knew I was 3 for 3 beforehand, but did I go 3 for 3 when it actually counted?
You did indeed.
You're on fire. We can confirm with your audience.
I love it. I love it.
Pronunciation. Well done.
Because it's the bottle throws me off with kind of the O. For those that are watching, you can kind of see the bottle I'm holding up. But before we get into what you guys have, what drew you all to the alcohol beverage industry? Because as I talk to people, and I've learned a lot, it's a crazy thing to get involved with. There's a lot of things that go into it. So what made you guys dive headfirst into this?
Yeah, I guess I could give you the quick story of it. So I come from the clothing world. I've been in the apparel industry for the last 20 years, and that has absolutely nothing to do with the alcohol industry. But, during COVID, obviously things got really weird in our industry and became, frankly, really difficult to continue to gain traction. Been involved in startups for the last 12 years, and much of that has gone really well. But during COVID, it was not so great. Started kicking around some ideas with our third partner, who's a silent partner and a non-operating partner. But we started kicking around ideas of things in the alcohol space, and we got really excited about this concept of low proof, and we can dig more into that later. But what attracted us to the industry, frankly, is during COVID, we were drinking a lot, and you're home and there's nothing to do other than stare at your family and maybe have a cocktail and build a fire. And you wake up the next morning and 42, 48 years old, and you start feeling a little fuzzy, and it's well, maybe we should think about options that are a little less hard-hitting than what we're doing. And we went to market and realized there's not a lot of stuff out there that tastes great that is of moderation. So we said to each other, maybe we should go build this thing. And what we learned very quickly is that getting into the space becomes very difficult if you don't have continuity or know what you're talking about. And the two of us had no clue what we were talking about. Enter Jimmy Cosma, who is a close friend of mine who we met many years ago, actually through the clothing world. And we brought him in first kind of as a consultant and just a friend to teach us about the space, make introductions, learn about, how to have these conversations and sound like we have a clue what the hell we're talking about. And oddly enough, Jim sold his business kind of during that time, and we brought him in as a third partner. And candidly, he's been a turbo booster for us because he's an expert. Can tell you about his background. But what drew me to the space originally is I'm a passionate consumer of it. I absolutely love the space. Coming from apparel, you're really a creator, right? You're making products that consumers ultimately can enjoy. And for me, there's a lot of passion in that. Alcohol is not a lot different in that it's very artisanal, it's artful if you do it right, and it's highly nuanced once you start understanding it. And so it's a product that I really enjoy, and that's why I'm kind of excited about getting into the space. But Jim's our pro. I'm just a clothing guy.
Yeah, so I imported wine for 20 years and distributed throughout the country in 46 states, Puerto Rico, etc. And so when Michael and Aaron, our third partner, brought this to me, I was like, oh, it's a unique concept and interesting. And frankly, there's nothing categorically that defines this. And so that for me was super exciting because it was the opportunity to not only create a new product, but create a category. And so that was where my juices kind of got going. And when we started to investigate it a little bit further, it was well, I think we may have, something that's really, really unique to be able to offer. And so that's where it kind of came full circle. And throughout my network and the distribution side and the distillation side, that was, we were able to get our ducks in a row and get things moving.
Well, and I was going to say, you kind of touched on what drew you to that lower proof, where as we all get a little bit older, We got to be a little smarter. Things hit us a little harder the next morning if we enjoy a little too much, as I found out recently. So I guess why did you guys settle on that 55 proof, that 27.5%? Because a lot of people nowadays are going the non-alcoholic route. And then you've got the 80 proof and higher, which is kind of the normal for a lot of these products. So why the 55 proof?
Yeah, I mean, when we first started out with the idea, conceptually, we said we're going to do a half proof craft spirit, right? That off the top of the mind, it was like full proof on fire, 9 ounce on fire. Let's just meet it in the middle and go half. And it was for no other reason than like it sounded really great to say that. Once we actually started distilling this stuff and working with rectifiers to get it back up to full taste, we realized that half proof was frankly too thin. Like it lost out on a lot of the mouthfeel and the viscosity and the weight and a lot of the burn. All of it was just too thin. And so what we did with our distiller is we just started basically going every 2 or 3 points up and down to figure out what that sweet spot was. And the goal was to get it as low in proof as we could, but also still taste authentic and genuine and delicious and all of the things. And so 55 is frankly where we just landed because of the taste profile. It offered up an authentic experience, but did it in a way that still had a meaningful amount of alcohol taken out of it. And so I think we're left with what is the equivalent of 31.5% less alcohol per serving. And it's enough, where it's still a meaningful drop. That's kind of how we got to that number.
Well, that's always a good thing when you go to flavor, because that means that you've got a good product in your hand that people should enjoy. And then outside of that proof point, though, what's different with the vodka and gin that y'all produce?
Well, fundamentally, obviously, the alcohol component is the biggest variable that's different. But we wanted to make sure that the experience and it needed to taste like gin, and it needed to taste like vodka, because I think what we're finding in the spiritless spirits world is there's an artificial component that really kind of is pronounced in those, and we wanted to make sure that in a home cocktails or in a restaurant and bar serving, that you could still serve those and have the same type of experience that you'd have in a full proof.
Yeah, the other thing that I would say is unique and frankly a byproduct of dropping the alcohol content is its lower calorie, right? And so in a world of kind of better for you products where people are chasing and really interested in these things that even though we can't claim they're better for you because it's alcohol, the reality is that there is 30, I mean, we can say, I'm sure you want in a podcast like this, but we can't go out into the external markets and say, this vodka is better for you than all the other things, right? But the reality is it is a third less calories because it's a third less alcohol. And so there's inherent value in that. Obviously, we know that anybody can go create a product that's going to be lower proof. And the reality is that there will be more people who are doing that. It's becoming more and more of a trend, and that's exciting for us, right? It's like more eyes on the vertical, a way to develop out the category. And then our job is to make sure that we build a brand that's beautiful, that's significant, that has our consumers saying, this is my lower proof choice, right? They make a product that is product first, like quality and taste first. And so that was for us a non-starter when we got this off the ground. We said, look, even though it's going to be low alcohol or low proof, it has to taste great. And if it doesn't, we just can't make the product. And so it will never, bash or naysay any of the competition that's out there. But we all know that a lot of these products that draw the alcohol out, they can't quite mimic what they're trying to do, right? And obviously there are consumers for it. That market's on fire. A lot of people are doing a wonderful job with it. Our job is to focus on what we do, right? To make sure that we make a great product with Sommarøy, and so that we can lead the category. But what's unique about it is that the product itself is sensational. When you get a chance to taste it, I mean, we're biased, but the shit is delicious.
Well, and I was going to say the name. Well, one, you've got a lovely bottle, I must say. It's sleek, a good eye catcher. But the name, Sommarøy. How did you come up with that? Because you guys are in Chicago, right? And that's not where this is from.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Well,
the product is actually the product's made in Illinois. The name itself, so Sommarøy is an island. It's a fishing village, frankly, in northwest Norway, and so it's a place that is nowhere near Chicago. But because of the product that we're creating, at the core of everything we do, we think about like endurance and stamina and the ability to enjoy this stuff over a long period of time if a consumer wants to. And so in Sommarøy, the actual island, it's a place where the sun does not set for 6 months a year. And so the place is literally bright all day long for 24 hours. And so we think that maps really beautifully with the story that we're trying to tell, the lifestyle story of, kind of sun up to sundown, the fun kind of never, the sun never sets on the fun. And so it's a product that people can enjoy all day long without getting a ton of impact from it if they don't want to.
Well, and I was gonna say, I think that's what's cool too, is because, like you mentioned, some of the lower proof or the spiritless alcohols, it's hard to mimic that flavor when you drink them neat or on the rocks. Now, in a cocktail, usually they do really, really well because it's more of what they're designed for. But with Sommarøy, you can do it neat on the rocks or in a cocktail.
that's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it will shine very bright if you put it in something like a martini, where when you drink it and the spirit is very forward, it tastes like an authentic experience. It's just going to impact you less. And so, drinking it neat, drinking on the rocks, all those versions, when you taste it, you will really see and smell that it tastes like the full version.
And then, how much fun was it coming up? Because you mentioned it was a process to find that sweet spot, and when you settled on that 55 proof for flavor, how much fun was it going through the taste testing process for the gin and the vodka? Or was it all work?
Well, I mean, listen, we're still in the alcohol business, and part of this is it's got to be enjoyable. So it was fun, where it became, you start to, and being in the wine business, you understand how your palate can get a little dulled after a while. But you would go through these, and it was kind of like mixing test tubes together to try to find the right formula that we could do this with. But it was a hoot, and we sat there for a number of hours and went through multiple iterations of us. And the base spirit is exactly the same with the gin and the vodka, and then obviously we add the botanical complex and infusion into the gin. So it was enjoyable for sure.
Yeah, I would say, like, as a newcomer to the space, this is my first time of being able to go create a spirit, and it's crazy fun, right? For any of your listeners out there who ever think about doing this, it's outrageous. The fact that you can have this thing in your idea, start working with this artist who's a distiller, and then the rectifiers who are really like scientists. They really help you take your vision and bring it to life, and you go through this a lot of iterations, frankly, to get to a product where you're excited about it. But that tasting experience and the ability to build from ground zero it's really satisfying. It was super fun.
Well, and then you've got the two products. You got the vodka and the gin, and as the new year gets underway, what's kind of the future look like? Is it just going to kind of keep on those two and build out the distribution, or what's the ultimate goal that you can say that won't get you in trouble?
Well, I think that's the onset for the first part of 23 is that we're going to be really focused on the gin and the vodka. We have a tequila that's in the pipeline that we hope to be rolling out mid-year 23, and then beyond that, we're going to start to see how the market development and acceptance of this. Obviously, tequila has been very hot, so we that's been very much on the forefront of our next product introduction. But for right now, those are kind of where we're headed, and beyond that, we'll see where things take us.
And I was going to say, to introduce this product to a lot of folks, how much fun has it been working with bartenders and so forth? Because those are the ones that really can kind of push this out there and help. And then obviously, others that are in the industry too.
Yeah, we work with, in presenting this to a lot of mixologists and bartenders. It's been fun. A lot of the feedback that we received is like, hey, I've never seen this before. And that to me is the greatest comment, which is exactly right. This doesn't exist. And so that's where we're going to help you to give something that is of high quality, that you can create some really fun cocktails, create a cocktail menu or a cocktail program around lifestyle cocktails, which is kind of where we're taking this. Is it's not foolproof, it's not no proof, it's right in the sweet spot, and it allows you to hopefully sling a few more cocktails at your establishment.
And then I guess my last question is where can folks find this? Because at the end of the day, you want people to be able to enjoy it and try it and experience it. So where can folks find it?
We are launching in Whole Foods nationally, beginning here in January, and obviously we're going to be pounding the pavement to get this out to every local establishment and around the country. So we're really out there trying to drive as many boxes with our distribution partners out there.
Yeah, but the big launch for us is the Whole Foods program. That'll be Jan 1. It'll be in 140 stores,
Mm-hmm.
something like 140 stores all over the country. I think what's really exciting about it for us is it's part of a program that Whole Foods is doing that's wrapped around Dry January and the whole concept of kind of better for you, more moderate experiences. And so they believe, and we obviously agree with them, that there's a consumer out there who's really interested in the concept of moderation, right? When we did this survey during our original press release, we learned that 9 out of 10 people said, yeah, I would be more open to a Dry January if it actually meant something more like just cutting back as opposed to just fully shutting it down. And so we're super excited to be in store with a partner like Whole Foods. They're obviously a great retailer. And then after that, it's about going on, knocking on a lot of doors and getting into as many of these retailers as we possibly can. We're based in Chicago, so we're now on shelf at a couple really, really wonderful partners here. But our job going forward is to open more and more accounts so that everybody who you speak to in your audience can participate as well.
Well, and it's great to see that there are more and more options that folks can enjoy. SommarøySpirits.com to find some more information. And James, Michael, thanks for sharing the story, sharing a drink, and coming up with something pretty cool.
Thanks
for having us. Appreciate you.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.